What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to Second Avenue Podcast. I'm your host, Jonathan Linares.
I'm your other host, Elijah Venencia. This one's gonna be a very long episode, so we're not doing an intro, we're not doing songs of the week. We are going straight into the topic. We got our album of the month because the internet, but Childish Gambino. Yeah, let's give it a pre-round of applause.
Yes,
This
sir.
is
Yes, sir.
yeah, it's gonna be a long one. We have a lot of like notes and everything, a lot of stuff from the screenplay. So, I mean, shit, you got anything you want to say before we start?
Yeah, I got a couple things I do want to say. I think this is going to be one of the most difficult episodes we've had to do. It's such a complex album. The screenplay is involved. Obviously, we'll talk a little bit about that as we, get into it. And I think it's going to be difficult because there are going to be people listening that have only heard the album. There are going to be people listening potentially that have heard the album that have know about the screenplay, the world. And so I think we're going to sound like pretentious borderline to these people that just know the album and be like, oh, well, in the screenplay it says this and that, whatever. And then the people that know everything, they're like, oh, these guys are idiots. They don't know what they're talking about because, oh, on page 3 the screenplay says this, but they're saying this. We'll see. We're doing our best. I just love the album more than anything. I know a little bit about the screenplay. I'm going to give a shout out right now. If you like today's episode, listen to the Dissect podcast season on this. They did an entire season of a podcast about this album and about the layers and about the world that it creates. So we're definitely not going to go into as much detail as them. A lot of the notes I took are from things they said, as well as, lyrics and things like that. So shout out to them. They killed it. They did an amazing job. They're so much of the reason why I love this album as much as I do. I probably had it in my top, 5 before hearing their season, and then that bumped it up even higher. So I don't know if it's number one, but it's close if it's not. Lastly, before we get into it, we're doing a giveaway. If you're watching on YouTube, vinyl giveaway because the internet. We're giving it away on Instagram, so go to our Instagram at Second Avenue Pod. We'll be giving it away this week. All you got to do, share the post, like it, comment, all that stuff. Details will be in the caption. I'm excited to get another vial to one of you guys. So stay tuned for details on that this week on the Instagram.
What is this? Our fifth vinyl giveaway? We've done Good Kid, Matt, or no. Actually, what was our first one? It was
The first one was Good Kid, Mad City and
okay.
Kids See
That's what I
Ghosts.
thought. Okay.
And then 2 Utopia, Man on the Moon.
Yep.
So that's
And then
5. This is
6. Yeah.
6.
Technically the fifth album we're giving out.
Yeah.
But man,
So
yeah, I mean, go in on that. It's completely free and everything. So I feel like you're a dumb if you don't.
preach. Yeah. It's a great album. It's beautiful. It's got like a nice, like reflective cover. Oh, I love it so much. Unfortunately, it is the newer release. There is no screenplay inside. I don't think because it was like $30 or whatever.
Mhm.
So yeah, I think the screenplay one's more expensive because that's like the original pressing.
Yeah.
But still a nice vinyl to have in your collection if you don't. All right, I'm ready to get into this. We got to skip songs of the week, all that stuff, like you mentioned. Sometimes we spend like 9 minutes talking about the intro. It's going to be a longer episode. I don't know if we're going to, go over an hour, 45 minutes. It could just be like 40 minutes and we'll be like, okay, we're stupid. But there's a lot to get into. So let's just get into it.
If you're an OG fan, this is like nothing. Our first like episodes, they used to run like hour and a half consistently. So
they did. It's one of those things where you just sit down and you can get going. Like I used to listen to this podcast. I didn't really listen every week or whatever, but I would tune in, skim. It was a mixtape. It was Coley Mick from Barstool, and then this guy Trill Withers, and they had a podcast, and they would just talk about basketball, random stuff, culture, whatever. It was like 4 hours sometimes. They would just get talking about whatever, and they were doing them like multiple times a week. So that's pretty crazy. Those podcasts would do that different. Maybe we'll be to that level one day, but today is not that day. Let's get into this though. So because the internet, it's only fitting we do it today. Happy Roscoe's Wetsuit Day. We'll get into what that means later. Because the internet released 10 years ago today, the day we're recording this, Sunday, December 10th. So tomorrow, it's going to be one day after the 10-year anniversary, but
what's after
gotta
that?
celebrate.
What's the day after that?
What?
Oh, my birthday.
You're saying a lot of. Oh, I thought you were making fun of me for just saying a bunch of dates. Oh, it's the 10th, 11th. We said it last week, but yes, everybody go wish Elijah a happy birthday. To celebrate his birthday, that'll probably be the day the giveaway drops. Honestly, we'll do like a post about because the internet on Monday, and then Tuesday, we got to show the boy some love, celebrate his birthday. the holiday season, because the internet's anniversary, it is like a lot going
Jam
on.
packed.
So
Yeah.
yeah, it's gonna be lit. Um, hopefully, if you have a good birthday, we'll get into that. I'll give you my
Mhm.
happy birthday wishes on your actual birthday, as
Okay.
everybody else should as well. But yeah, happy early birthday to you. Thank you for
Yeah,
keeping me on
you're
track
forgetting
here.
a huge day there.
I know. But yeah, let's get into this. Man, this is by far the most notes I've ever had preparing for an episode. I got in my phone, I could scroll for 3 minutes, I think, of all the notes I have, lyrics, little quotes, other things. And I had the biggest scare like 15 minutes ago. I was going between like Spotify, the internet, and notes, and I just kept going back and forth and back and forth. And I think my phone's running low. Well, I know it is. It's running low on storage, so I think that's why this happened. But sometimes it like gets a little bit glitchy, gets a little bit laggy, and the note was just gone. It just wasn't there anymore, and I almost called an audible. I thought we weren't going to have an episode this week. I was like, it's over. I'm not doing this again today. After I just spent, however long getting these notes together, they're just gone. I was crushed. Then I just, I made the executive decision. I'm going to swipe up, close out of notes.
Mhm. That's always a good move.
I hope it's back. Fingers crossed. And it was back, thank God. I felt good because, like, when you have like the list of notes, it still showed the
Mhm.
words and like a picture I had attached to it. So I was like, okay, I think it should still be there. But then I wasn't seeing it. So, man, I was worried. But hey, here we are. So let's get into it. But yeah, like I said earlier, there's a lot of elements to go into Because the Internet. We're going to break it down song by song. First, let's just kind of talk about the bigger world that is Because the Internet. We're talking about the album today. That's 19 songs separated into 5 acts, which is meant to score the screenplay, also titled Because the Internet, which is attached in the original vinyl pressing, 72, 73 pages, I forget the number. And yeah, it's a story about a character named the boy, and he's a wealthy kid, and his family, his mom, I believe, is dead at this point at the beginning. His father, they don't have the best relationship. He's got a lot of friends, but he has money. So are they really his friends,
Mhm.
or are they just there for the money? Kind of just a look at his life. And we'll talk about lyrics, and we'll talk about things throughout the screenplay that matter. I think there's obviously a lot that matters that we probably won't be able to touch on. So I think before we get talking about the songs, we got to talk about the notes. If you've been around, you know the Childish Gambino notes. He's not too big on social media these days, but he used to be pretty active on social media. And one of his most like infamous, notable posts is he was at a hotel, and on hotel paper he wrote a bunch of handwritten notes and posted pictures of them to his Instagram. And I think that that really shows a lot about where he was at mentally. And I think it sets us up for a lot of the album. So I think we need to get into that. I'm not going to read through them all. I think there's like 7. I'm going to read through 3, which is still a little bit, but let's get into it. So the note says, I didn't leave community to rap. I don't want to rap. I wanted to be on my own. I've been sick this year. I've seen a bunch of people die this year. This is the first time I felt helpless, but I'm not on that. Kept looking for something to be in with, follow someone's blueprint, but you have to be on your own. The next one says, the label doesn't want me to release in December because it's not a holiday record and I'm not a big artist. I started the record last Christmas. Christmas always made me feel lonely, but it helped me restart the new year. I want people to listen to this album when everything's closed, when everything slows down and is quiet, so you can start over. And then the last one says, I got really lost last year, but I can't be lonely though, because we're all here. We're all stuck here. I wanted to make something that says no matter how bad you fuck up or mistakes you've made during the year, your life, your eternity, you're always allowed to be better. You're always allowed to grow up if you want. And so I think that that's just a great way to set the tone for where he's at and what we're about to go through with the journey that is Because the Internet. Let's get into it. So we kick it off here with the first song, if you want to call it that, the library intro, just a little like almost whirring sound. Sounds like you're loading up, sounds like you're spawning a video game or something. And that's
Yeah, I
that.
mean, yeah,
It's a couple
not
seconds
much.
long, and that's that.
Yeah, not much there,
Not much there.
but
Then
it
we
does
get
set the tone. I will say,
it does set the tone.
yeah, like you said, like a
It
little
spawns you.
spawning. Yeah,
Yeah. And we get into the first real track on the project, Crawl. Crawl, great song. I think this actually, I'm trying to think back to like when I first heard Gambino. I know I heard because the internet shortly after it dropped, but definitely I wasn't like, oh, I'm ready for because the internet to drop. Like I didn't know who he was at the time. I think I heard it at some point, probably like a couple months after it dropped. I remember it got nominated for a Grammy. I saw people talking about it. And I was like, oh, what's this album? On Twitter, I saw, so I gave it a listen. So I think I listened to the complete album to start. And so I think Crawl would have been the first song I heard. And I was hooked. Gambino comes on it. He's rapping crazy. A great intro to the album as well, obviously. You start off with the line, you hear, "Who am I?" And that's really what the album's going to explore. You're going to explore who you are, what the internet, the relationship it has to us, connectivity, all that kind of stuff. But it's a great way to start the project. I like the title being Crawl. I saw a quote where Gambino said, "At this point of the internet, it feels like we're just giving a handgun to an infant and saying, don't shoot yourself," which is so true
Yeah.
because the possibilities are really endless with what could happen from the internet, on the internet, all that kind of stuff. And we're really at like the infancy stage of it. Like the internet has only been around for, how many ever years. Like to us, it feels like forever because it's our entire
Our whole
lifetime.
lives, yeah.
But some people have seen it go from nothing to everything. So it's crazy to think about it in that regard.
Yeah, I mean, for this track, I gotta say this might be my favorite track on the album. I mean, off the re-listens, obviously, growing up, I'm more listening to 3005 and Sweatpants, but man, this is like the first time for me that I actually sat down and listened to the entire album. I feel like I've probably heard most of, or if not all of the tracks here and there, but I mean, just doing like a dive into it, I was like, okay, like this song is just a very raw song, but it's really enjoyable. Like you said, he's going crazy on the rap, but the beats just kind of everywhere. I think it all comes together well, though, for me personally, and I'm gonna stand by this is my favorite song on the album.
It's up there for me. It's not my number one, but it's up there. I got one special shout out to give, and it's going to be such a niche reference. Like, I think our audience is actually going to know it decently well. But if somebody randoms listen to this from because they're going to be like, what? Um, the line where he says, El Varner got a crush on her. El Varner. So she was like a singer. I don't know if she was around your time or what, but she was like, I feel like mid 2010s, early 2010s, she was just like R&B singer. And I remember she came to U of I think it was at U of I, and she took a picture with Brandon Paul, the
Yeah,
Illini legend from our time, and he put a picture up on Instagram. And so like when I heard this line about El Varner, that was the only thing I think of ever, is just a picture posted up with BP3 and El Varner.
Brandon Paul's the go. Yeah, he's that was a
Really
line.
him.
Yeah, like growing up, Brandon Paul, DJ Richardson. Not to get off track, but just some goats there.
No, we got to get off track because we got to give our own 2 cents to this. Otherwise, we were just ripping some of the Dissect podcast. So we got to make Second Ave what makes Second Ave, and that is
Yeah, I mean,
these
if we're
niche
going
Atlanta
in Tracy
references.
Abrams, yeah, Dimitri
Dimitri
McCamey.
McCamey. Ooh,
I mean, Malcolm Hill, even that's a little bit later, but Kendrick Nunn.
some
Fuck,
dogs.
yeah.
K-Nunn, really him. Man, shout out to those Illinois guys. I mean, we'll get in a deeper cut here. Joseph Bertrand. I mean, there's just some
Yeah.
legends. Like, I loved
Nana
those guys
Egwu,
growing
that
up.
was a little bit later too, but the
Oh,
block monster, Tyler Griffey.
that backdoor cut against Indiana, a
Yep.
legend. I was gonna say shout out to Myers Leonard, but I don't know if we're gonna give him a shout out. Man, this is like so living up to that stereotype about like guys can just hang out and name college basketball players or NBA players that are just niche references and just have the most fun, because we could really go back and forth with all these guys forever, but we'll save that for another day. But yeah, Crawl, great intro to the album, and sets a tone for the infancy of the internet and the themes we're going to explore throughout that project. Next track, we get World Star. World Star, good song. Not one of my favorites on the album. It has two very distinct parts, though. You get the rap part, but the World Star,
Yeah.
and then you get the nice instrumental back half. I do love a couple points throughout this track. When he go crazy, I hear that action on B Scorsese. Great line. Commentary on everybody's got a phone these days, everybody can record, and then you get to the point though, hold it horizontal, be professional. That's so funny because sometimes if you're watching a YouTube video or whatever, you got the vertical video on a horizontal thing, funny, as well as there's something I remember about him at his shows when he was doing that line, he would find somebody that was holding their phone vertical and go up to him and make it horizontal, which is that's fun. A good way to, kind of enhance the experience of seeing it live.
Definitely. I mean, live recordings are a huge thing. My phone is full of them. But yeah, World Star, like I feel like you can't talk about, 2013 is a little early for me, but like the mid 2010s, I feel like you can't talk about the internet without talking about World Star. I'm in the same boat with you here, though. It's not one of my favorite tracks, but enjoyable nonetheless.
Yeah. When I say not my favorites, I love like every track, but it's, on the lower half, I would say, for me. But I love the line, she on Hollywood and Vine, thinking that she Hollywood on Vine. That's a great line. She's living in Hollywood, the Walk of Fame, Hollywood and
Mhm.
Vine. She thinks she's Hollywood because she's got followers on Vine. Uh, very timely
And
Vine reference there as well.
yeah, and I mean that's even more true to this day. Like I mean, like there's some social media, some people out there who their lives are social media. So I mean, yeah, you see 10 years later where we're at now. So
Yeah, crazy. Next track here, we got the Worst Guys with Chance the Rapper. A very, very slight Chance the Rapper feature, but a Chance the Rapper feature nonetheless. These were two of my guys, like when I was in high school.
mhm.
So this, to me, has got to be one of my favorites. I love the rapping here from Gambino. There's some great lines. Specifically, I love this is a random one, but I love Uncle Ben in my hand make change, and because it's $100 bill you need change, but also Uncle Ben, Spider-Man Uncle Ben. We got to give a shout to Donald for Spider-Man. This is back in the day when people wanted Gambino to play Spider-Man, so it just kind of comes full circle here.
Yeah, and he ultimately ended up making a Spider-Man appearance, didn't he? In
Yep.
what was
I
that,
think a
Homecoming?
couple, yeah.
Yeah, he's
He's been
a
active.
reoccurring character there. So
Very repetitive song though, they get the all she needed was some,
mhm.
and then you get going, you just keep saying it. In the screenplay, I think, or on the website or something, there is like a multiple choice option of what she needed. Have you seen this?
I have not. No, it's gonna be a
Okay.
little bit of learning experience for me
Yeah,
too.
see, I'm putting you on. The options were a picture of the devil, B, your keys, C, some asterisk, 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 four asterisks. I think we know what that means. And D, something to understand.
Let's go with B.
We're definitely going with C, I'm going to imagine. But she did need something. And yeah, it's a good track. I like this one. Um, Gets us in the next track here. We got Shadows, which again, I like, but I don't love. It's a good track. I like it a lot in the scheme of the album, but I don't go to it by itself. I love Thundercats' contribution on it though. Gambino just came out and performed it at Thundercats LA show a couple months ago, a couple weeks ago, a minute ago, and we talked about that in the pod. But yeah, I like this track. It's cool. Yeah.
So I mean, the intro here, it's repetitive, or not repetitive in like a bad way. What do you know the exact terminology for it? Whenever it's just they repeat it in songs, it's like semantic something.
I don't know
But
what you're
it's
talking
okay.
about.
So I learned this. I learned this last year from Vince Staples' The Blues. It's something about where it repeats it so much. It's kind of trying to put you that environment, I guess, or just get you on a
Okay.
different mindset. So yeah, I get a lot of vibes like that, but had it in the last track, and we have it here as well. And then I mean, I'd have to say I'm with you here. Ultimately, not one of my top songs, but I'd say maybe in the upper bottom half. So
Okay. This first set of songs, I think some of these are audibly the most like accessible sounding songs.
mhm.
I think that, if you're like listening to just a Gambino song, you hear this, you'd be like, cool song. Whereas I think in the later half, it gets a little bit more, you got to know, you got to be a part of it, you got to be into it to like it. I think that some of these, until we get to like 3005, I think that's where it's like the end of like the accessible sounding tracks. Um, a very accessible track we have next, which is Telegraph Ave, Oakland by Lloyd. And shout out to Lloyd. I only know Lloyd from this song in Bedrock, but fire.
Yeah.
Yeah. This is a good track. I think it's probably one of the better tracks on the album. It is great. I think it's a crowd pleaser. People love this one. It's an interesting song because Oakland by Lloyd isn't a real song. You know what I mean? I love that it's such like a meta thing that he is like driving in the screenplay. I'll say something about that here. He's driving to see this girl in Oakland, and so he's listening to the radio, listening to Oakland by Lloyd, and that's such a weird concept that he's listening to a song within the song, but the song doesn't exist in the real world. It's just a song in the BTI world.
Yeah, no, very interesting there. Like I feel like I don't. It sets the scene, I guess. In there, it's very exclusive to that, I guess, is what I will say with it. And then overall, I do like it. There's just like just a ton of you feel like you're in Oakland almost. Like they set the scene perfectly.
Mm-hmm. And one of the most standout lines is this happens a few times throughout the album, but there are lines where you can hear multiple things. And the one on this track is "If I married you tonight" versus "If I buried you tonight." Did you
Mhm.
notice that?
I did not know.
Okay, so people go either way. I lean married. That
Yeah,
sounds
that's
just
a,
more realistic to me to what he would be saying. But the other thought is he could be saying like marriage is like death, like it's a lifelong commitment. It's kind of like the end of one life, start of
beginning of
another,
another.
and
Yeah.
which yeah is an interesting way to look at it. But I wouldn't say buried in that context. There are a couple others coming later that we'll talk about where I really do see both sides, where it could be both. So we'll get into that, but let's get into the next song first. We got Sweatpants. This is probably my
Yeah.
favorite from when I was like in high school. I loved this song so much. I was
Mhm.
bumping this one all the time. It'll probably make its way to the Instagram page, our Instagram page.
Yeah.
We like to tie in our adolescent videos,
Mhm.
pictures into the podcast. Elijah posted a picture of himself wearing a Lil Peep shirt for our last album of the month. So I think I got to go with there's a video of me and my friends, and we used to play, basketball on lowered rims. We called it Lob City because
7 foot rim. Let's. It's not a 9 foot rim or
no,
anything.
yeah,
Not
yeah,
like.
7 foot. Yeah, it is borderline. You can stand and dunk, but we called it Lob City because that was like in the prime Lob City Clippers era. And we were just like, okay, it's Lob City. We had an Instagram page, the NLCBA, National Lob City Basketball Association. We had team jerseys, team names. The team jerseys really were everybody had an NBA player jersey. And then we combined the team names. So, for example, me and my boy Trey, I was James Harden and he was Jabari Parker. And so
Sheesh.
we're the Milwaukee Rockets, just a combo there.
Mhm.
But so we had a schedule, we had everything. This only really happened one time. It was like during spring break, and we went crazy. We started the Instagram page, we took some videos, we just did all this stuff. We had a couple of random people come watch. It was a great time. My home court at my house was Latin American Airways after the American Airways Center. So it was just fire. It was a really you had to be there moment. Um, but yeah, so that might make its way to Instagram. But long story short, we made a video of like a couple of highlights to Sweatpants because shout out to Hayden Swinford, a legend. We were supposed to play a whole bunch of these kids in Armstrong in 3-on-3 or 4-on-4 or whatever at their park with lowered rims. And we posted this video on Twitter of us being like, oh, watch out, which it was like a joke. We weren't like really trying to get
Yeah.
saucy, it was just for fun. Long story short, we did end up playing and they just dogged us. It was sickening. Not a good time, but catch us on
Hey,
10 foot
yeah,
hoop.
home court advantage is different. Like at the Hoopson Park, McFerrin Park, I'm him out there, so it's like
Yeah.
the home court's a big thing. Like it's really not, but it is at the same time. So
You got to say it as if it's not your favorite.
yeah, I mean, if I'm choosing my five, I'm taking my five over a lot of people. So
Fair
that's
enough.
open. That's an open invitation.
Okay. I'm with it. But yeah, let's get back into Sweatpants here. What are your thoughts on this track?
This was one of the two I was banging at the time. Well, not even at the time. I'd say more 2014, 15. So we didn't really get too much of like an intro into it, but I mean to like put it into perspective, it was what 2013 would have been 11 going on 12. It's not one I was banging too crazy, but this was one here. I mean, it's just a classic track. I feel like there's not like how can you not like this song? It's just enjoyable. I I mean, yeah, I don't really have too much past that, honestly.
Okay. Yeah, I love this track. I love the meaning behind it. The title Sweatpants, it goes from a quote where Donald Glover's talking about rich people get to wear whatever they want.
Mhm.
The idea that somebody could, I feel like this is deja vu, or I feel like I said this in the maybe, for the real ones, episode 1 where I was talking about my top favorite artists. I think I might have mentioned this, maybe not though. But anyway, the idea that rich people can wear where they want, like if Jay-Z pulls up in sweatpants, Kanye pulls up in sweatpants, that's fashion. But
Yeah.
when I go to Fat Jack's
when I go
bar,
when I go to church in sweatpants.
no, I was getting a real example there. When I go to Fat Jack's bar in Bloomington wearing a windbreaker and sweatpants when it's raining outside, and they say, no, you can't come in, you're not wearing the dress code, I don't get let in. But if Jay-Z did it, oh, that's fashion. If Kanye did it, oh, that's fashion. So yeah, that is a true story. I did get not let in the bar because I was wearing sweatpants when it was rainy. Sue me,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
but
I
when
mean,
I'm rich, they'll let me in.
Yeah. No, I mean, that's how it is, though.
Yeah, I did not know that was a vibe. I was like fresh 21,
Yeah.
and my friends were like, "Wow, come out!" And I'm like, "All right." I was just wearing the clothes I was wearing. For the record, they're not like baggy gray sweatpants. They were like Nike, like Tech Fleece style sweatpants.
All right. Whoa. Big
So
flexer.
for the record,
Yeah.
I wasn't dressed like a super scrub. I was dressed like athleisure. Anyway,
Uh-huh.
but yeah. So rich people get to wear what they want. That's the motto. That's the moral of the story. I love a couple lines here. I got to point out first, rich forever, a million was not the quota. That is a good line just for generally speaking, making a lot of money, but it's a little play in. So, do you know who the boy in the character, do you know who his dad is played by?
I do not know.
Played by. It is Rick Ross.
Sheesh.
So, this is a
Okay.
good tie in because Rick Ross, rich forever. So, rich
Mhm.
forever, a million was not the quota.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. There we
So
go.
it's
I
a
like
nice
that.
little tie in there.
Yeah.
Uh, Another line that I just randomly love is penthouse on both coasts, pH balance.
That's,
And,
mhm.
this is good, obviously, for, the water. You got penthouse, it's probably the water on the both coasts. That is a good time for the pH balance, but also take it a little step further. I didn't know this until I listened to the Dissect podcast, but they talk about the pH probably meaning the Palisades and the Hamptons for pH, taking another step further.
Yeah.
So that just shows the levels that we're dealing with on this album. Um, and then it ends very abruptly, the track, with where he says, "I don't give a fuck about family name." I think that that's another very good point of the song. He's talking about how rich he is. He's talking about all the money he's flexing. He doesn't care about his family. He doesn't care, any of that stuff. And so I think that's another just great job of shaping the character of the boy. He's got money, he's got all these things, but he doesn't even like his family. You know what I mean? So it's
Yeah.
kind of crazy. But it's who he is. That takes us into the next track here. We got 3005. I think if anybody had just heard one song of this project, it would be 3005, right? It is a great
Definitely.
song. It's a hit. What are your thoughts on this track?
I mean, this album is timeless. I will say, like, he could release this today, and I mean, it'd be the same thing. I mean, just as popular. The sounds kind of evolved with time nicely, and I mean, like a track like this is why. Like, I don't think I could ever get tired of hearing this song. Just a really great track, and I have like a really really random throwback. I don't think you're gonna remember it. I don't think Lauren and Sammy are gonna remember it. Okay, so this will date it. This had to be 2014, 2015. I'd say definitely 2015. It was Kick. We had a little Kick group chat with the
Ooh.
with the family. So that's just with us three, I think, or us four, I guess. And I think Sammy said "Why You Mufasa" or something like that. "Girl, why you Mufasa" from this song, and I was like, and I didn't understand it then. So I probably 2014, I'd say. And then, yeah, that just a little tie in there,
That's so funny. I definitely don't
I was
remember
like so
Kick.
shook. I was like, what? Basically, and then I think you guys had reacted to it. So like, oh, obviously they know it's something. So, but it was
Yeah, that is funny. I love when we have like stories to reinforce the age difference when we're hearing this music for the first time, and then like it coming full circle. So I love that. That's so funny. I don't remember like being on Kick at all. I remember just like it being
it
a
was either like
thing.
it was a little mess. It maybe not Kick, a little messenger app. I don't know exactly.
I believe you. It could have been. I definitely had it. I remember having it, but I don't remember using it a lot. Shout out to any of the fam that is listening, though. We got the group chat back. We're up. So
Yeah.
this is the Kick. iMessage now is the Kick of 2023. But yeah, 2005, great song. I loved, I'll be right by your side, 2005. Just a good line there. And I love the use of 3005. It's just like a number. I mean, it's such a big number. It doesn't even seem like, basically it means forever because it is just so
Yeah.
far out there in the future. And I've also seen people say that, like, it's 3005. So the zeros in the middle mean infinity,
Mhm.
which, maybe
Okay.
it's a stretch, maybe not. I don't know. But basically means forever. I
Mhm.
love this track. Great one.
The video YouTube video, that's like a classic one. Really good. I if you haven't seen it, I go watch it. I mean, I assume if you've heard the song, you most likely have, but if you haven't, go watch it.
Oh, yeah, for sure. So after 2005, we get into Playing Around Before the Party Starts, just a nice instrumental
Mhm.
track. I love all the instrumental tracks here. And I think that that really does help the screenplay aspect because they do sort of set the mood.
Uh-huh.
It's a break from whatever you were just
Yeah,
hearing to transition into something new.
like a little palate cleanser.
Exactly. And we skipped over Dial Up a little bit earlier, but that's great. They're all great just at getting you ready for the whatever is next. So after Playing Around for the Party Starts, we get The Party, which I think this is probably the most underrated, underappreciated song on the project.
Yeah, I like that. Like I mean, a lot of these, like I wasn't bumping too crazy, so a lot of, maybe I will be after this. So I mean, I don't really have a good gauge of that, but I will say I did like this one quite a bit. It sets the mood perfectly. I've said that multiple times, but this album just does set the mood perfectly. There's so much attention to detail, but it makes you feel like you're at a party.
Yeah, and it's almost like an uneasiness. Like this is how it is for him. But the party's at his house again. He's
Mhm.
rich. He's got money. Are these people around him just because
The
he has
party,
money? Because he has all
yeah.
these nice things? Because his house is where the party is? Or are they actually his friends? And Gambino, he starts rapping so fast. He's getting these really good cadence off, and then I didn't advise people in the motherfucking house. Get the fuck out of my house. And then just end, yo, chill, yo, chill. You hear people
Yeah.
talking, and it's just such a great. It really does paint the picture of what's happening. You can hear
Mhm.
it, you can picture it.
And
I love it.
if you've ever been to parties, have you ever had one of those moments where people get like that? The host is, everybody get the fuck, yeah. I've
Yeah,
definitely had moments like that, unfortunately, but
yeah. Unfortunately, I'll tell a very, very fast story, but so when I was a freshman in college, we used to like just literally wander until we found people we made friends with, or just go to a party where people were going to because we really didn't know anybody yet. And one time we had some friends from home at college, and then there were just a bunch of other people from Hoops in there. And I think we were just sending the address, like, yeah, come to this party, come to this party. We
what the
like took
fuck do you
this
know
party
here?
over. Yeah. And it was a deep party. Like, it was one of the more fun parties I went to in college. I don't know how many people, but it turned out there was probably like 15 people from Hoops in there, and then other people I knew, and it was like, oh my god, this is getting kind of deep. And then the host of the party came up to like one of my friends and was like, yeah, the cops are coming, but they really weren't. They just want us to leave, and so we left.
That's
But
always
that
a
was
good
that.
play. Yeah, that's always a.
So we didn't get the get out of my house, but we got kicked out without
Mhm.
getting kicked out. So that shout out to that guy. He played it right.
Yeah, no, that is always a good one there if you want people to clear out. So
Yeah, unfortunate, but it is what it is. All right. So after the party, we move on here to No Exit. The boy has kicked these people out of his house. He's going through it. He's feeling a lot of things. And we hear that No Exit. He's talking 3 a.m., stare at the ceiling, murder the feeling, spider crawl in the corner, brown recluse. So this is a good line. This is one where I didn't appreciate till the context of the screenplay, all that kind of stuff. We haven't talked too much about a screenplay. I feel like a lot of it hasn't been, as relevant to the earlier stuff. Here's where it kind of picks up. So, Brown Recluse, right? So this all goes back to the first line we hear on the album. Who am I? Rec League ain't paying a ball. Y'all be certainly like broke guitar. But who am I? Rec League. And he is the Brown Recluse. That is what we're getting to here. So in the screenplay here, this is where he tries to kill himself. Spoiler alert, he doesn't die, but he has a suicide attempt. He is just going through it. And I think we kind of understand why. That's what the first album is. You understand who he is and why he would be feeling that way. He's got all these people in his life. He doesn't know what they're about. He doesn't know all that. But he himself is the brown recluse. And, it's obviously a brown recluse is a spider, but also could be he is a reclusive person, a recluse. So that's a good little metaphor comparison there. And it's also interesting that he picked a spider because, spiders have webs and it is the internet. It is because of the internet. So I think that it's all, it's a great tie in.
Yeah. So I mean, I like the I haven't or well, I guess I didn't watch the screenplay or too much into it, but the suicide part that's pretty deep there, but it sets the tone once again. I'll go right back to it. Um, I have not insomniac where you can't sleep, but you I feel like we've all been there, just laying in bed, just I mean you have your bad days, you're just laying in bed and you notice the little things like the spider up there, stuff like that. So it's just another track that just sets it well.
Oh yeah, for sure. Um, Definitely has that tone. You get Miguel on this one, great feature as well. You get a Lil Durk shout out, playing Lil Durk. This ain't what you want. Shout out to Lil Durk. This shows Lil Durk been around. Hoopson, we were on to Lil Durk before this reference, but Gambino was on Lil Durk before the world was. I mean, Lil Durk is a superstar now, but
Yeah.
there was a point where only Hoopson knew Lil Durk.
Yeah,
So
he's pretty much from
we
Houston.
got to flex that.
Yeah.
But yeah, okay. So in this one, the boy suicide attempts takes us in to the next track, Death by Numbers, another instrumental one, kind of sets the tone again for what we're going to get into in the next segment of songs, which starts off with Flight of the Navigator, which I got to say, one of the most beautiful songs on the project. It's so great. And it's sort of that like out of body experience after his suicide attempts.
Yeah, it's all like very refreshing, like the acts or the different parts. Like it always just feels so much different each time. And like I said it earlier, I said it while you're talking. The little instrumentals are like a perfect palate cleanser almost. And then with this one here, it's just such a beautiful track. I wrote the intro. The intro just kind of sets it well, I thought.
It does. And this is one, where the real, because the internet, buffs
Mhm.
are gonna be like, oh, you should know this. But I know that there's something like with his mom in the screenplay.
Mhm.
Like he references the moon a couple times throughout the project, and I believe he does in this song. I could be wrong, I don't remember, but I feel like this is something with his mom. And I don't know, could be wrong on that. Let me know in the comments. But yeah, it's a great track. And then shortly after this in the screenplay, there's a crucial detail. He wakes up to the news that his dad has died. R.I.P. Rick Ross.
Yeah.
Um, Tragic. And that takes us into the next track here, which again, am I a real BTI buff? I don't know. I still, after all 10 years, I'm not 100% sure how to pronounce the first word. I think it's zealots.
Yeah. That's I would
We'll go
say
with that.
Zealots.
Zealots. Okay.
Mhm.
Zealots of Stockholm. Free information. This is beautiful song as well with a
Mhm.
very, very strong switch up. So, it starts off, we used to be unspoken. Now everything is broken. I'm a good son. That's the kind of start of it. And that's very interesting because, you just found out that his dad had died. And the part, we used to be unspoken, you could visualize that so much, like the relationship to them, like they're like in each other's lives, but they're
Mhm.
not. They're father's sons, so they have to be. But like, are they really connected? Are they really together? And there's a line in the screenplay, I think it's the first line actually, where the boy gets into the car after camp. Camp is the last album, so bad
Mhm.
tie-in as well. But the dad says, "How was camp?" And the boy just shrugs, and then he says, "You make any friends?" And the boy says, "No." And then it says, the father laughs under his breath, but the laugh turns into an SMH. That's a very,
SME.
very dated
Yeah.
internet thing,
Yeah.
but it does just kind of show that relationship between the father and the boy,
Mhm.
where it is just unspoken, and now it's nothing, or it is what it is, and
Yeah.
he's no longer around. But I think it's also he just keeps saying, "I'm a good son," and it's just he's got to like kind of convince himself that.
Yeah. So this is it's a pretty deep song, following that in screenplay. I would definitely say this has got to be up there for me though. It's really it's deep. You know me. I like the deep tracks. So
Oh
that
yeah,
that flow switch is crazy though.
it is. He really gets going there to kind of go deeper into the rest of the track with the tie into the screenplay. So in this track, he's going to Stockholm and he's looking for one of his followers whose name on the internet is Hello Pity. We haven't referenced the boy's social media alias as well. His is the Gold Molar. Okay. So anyway, he's going to Stockholm and he meets up with this girl. Her name is Alyssa. And throughout some of the lines, you can kind of see what's happening. But the line where he says, "I'm gonna walk out, what a walk too, what about dude?" And then she says, "Fuck him, I just really want to feel something." So obviously he meets up and they leave, but she's already with this guy. Now, who is the guy, you might ask? If you haven't seen anything about the screenplay, you would have no idea. The guy she's with is actually the singer who sings "What Does the Fox Say."
Sheesh.
So another very random internet reference that is tied into this album.
What was that? When was that? What was the Fox? That's probably 2014, 2015. Nah,
Well, no,
maybe
this is
before.
2013. Got
Oh,
to be
okay.
before that.
Okay, yeah. I fuck.
So got to be like 2012.
Yeah, I was probably in sixth grade, so yeah, fifth or
Crazy.
sixth.
But yeah, very random. Love that reference though. Every time I get to that line, it's all I think about now that I know. And then this is another great example of, we talked about earlier with the buried tonight, married tonight line. This is one where it's more interesting here. I think it's Kilo Kish, if I'm not mistaken. Shout out to Kilo Kish. Saw her open up for Vince Staples back in 2017. She's on here and she's saying, is it real because you're online or is it real because you're alive? What do you hear there?
Online. I mean, but it also kind of goes with the whole theme. Like I feel like the internet. I'm more towards that rather than alive. So
That is fair. I would lean online as well, especially because, in the song he's meeting with the girl that he met online, seeing in real life, which I think is a very interesting thing as well. Then we get into another line here, which is another one that I did not appreciate until I found out, the deeper meaning here. And this is the line where he says, brain splattered like a fallen off a watchtower. So this is another one where I don't want to get this wrong, but I believe that Donald actually attempted suicide as well in real life. And so then that could be talking about himself. That's another one where it gets into the layers and it gets real tricky. Talking about the boys, talking about Childish Gambino, he's talking about Donald Glover. There's some gray area there. But either way, he's talking about a suicide attempt, my brain splattered like a fall off the watchtower, jumping to your death. But also there's a Jehovah's Witness magazine called The Watchtower, and he grew up a Jehovah's Witness. And so I think that's a very interesting one. Like you're falling off of the watchtower, you're falling away from the religion that you grew up on, which is where, so much about this album is about the boy, but I think that that's about Donald Glover. You know what I mean?
yeah.
Because he's the one that's Jehovah's Witness. We know what the boy is, I don't think.
No, yeah, I don't get that vibe, I guess, from partying and stuff like that.
That's an interesting line. I like that one. So next track here, we got Earn. Beautiful song. Such a short track, but it is just so good. I wish it was 4 minutes, but it's like a minute and a half.
Yeah, the little act here, I guess we'll say Death by Numbers above it. I don't know. Just beautiful, beautiful tracks. Like you said, I wish it was longer.
Yeah. This is one where I know it's gotten a lot of love from other artists. Tyler has said something about it. I believe Earl said something about it before on Twitter back in the day. So yeah, this is definitely, if you're a real music head, you love Earn. And it's also funny because Earn is his character's name on Atlanta, but it's, Earn like Ernest,
Yeah.
not Earn like the thing. But also, his dad just died in the screenplay. So, we get back to the urn, the ashes, all that kind of stuff, death being another very big theme here. Although it doesn't sound like it, it's like one of those things where it sounds great, but maybe there's a, deeper, sadder meaning. The line like "Don't ever leave me, my love," that is kind of how you get, but it sounds happy or it sounds
Yeah,
positive or something.
definitely. I don't. It's just like such a dark title and everything as well. You earned father's passing, so.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's really light song.
So the next song is Pink Toes, which has Janae Aiko. And in this is another one where a screenplay comes in and there's a lot of references to the boy drug dealing. Like showing back about it, C3PO, great line there. But also like move that kilo, he says that. So you talk a lot about dealing drugs, and you get into the end where it says I'm out of time. He's singing that, and then you hear like the sirens in the background to set us up for what's to come in the next track. What are your thoughts about the song Pink Toes though?
Really, I really like it. Janae Echo, man, she's just so fucking good. Like, I mean, any of these tracks from that era, especially like she was doing her thing when she was coming up, I guess, or I mean, but still's carved on nice career. But I think they have very good chemistry together as well. Would be another point to that. So.
Oh yeah, they got this other song "Bed Piece" on a Janae album. I don't know if you heard that one.
Mm.
That one's fire too. Strongly recommend that. But yeah, good track. And there's a lot of like, different references to like in the screenplay, this other girl that he's, getting close to at this point in the album. And, people say he's talking about Janae Aiko. Is that the truth? Is that, just part of the story? Who knows? But
It's
anyway, so in the screenplay, who's getting close to another girl,
mhm.
that's crucial, and that'll come up later.
It and her first line something about slinging the yay. So I think that
Yeah,
yeah. So I'd put that. Yeah, I'd say confirm that, I guess, or not completely confirm, but my
yeah,
assumption.
for sure. And so in the next track here, we got Earth, the oldest computer, the last night. And in the screenplay here, the boy is going to his mansion to see a drug deal, which eventually turns into a robbery. And he's held at gunpoint, all that kind of stuff, and kind of ends on a cliffhanger. Like, did he die? Did he not die? And that's that. And so there's a couple interesting lines here. I think one is, I don't want to see an era. And I think that's an interesting line because there's a clip of Donald Glover on the Breakfast Club. I think it's one of the morning, you know, radio shows. And he's talking about like, he's like, it's not hard to die. Like you could die if you want to die. So like the line, I don't want to see an era. I think that's very interesting because, if you don't want to, you don't have to.
Yeah.
It's as simple as that, which is crazy. Just put the free will, free choice. And it makes me think about, I remember this was probably 2018. I don't remember. Obviously, it's a very easy thing to look up, but I didn't. He headlined Coachella one year, and I watched the live stream as it was happening. And that was, California time. I remember I was in my dorm room. I stayed up till, you know,
Two in the
two in the
morning.
morning or whatever it
Yeah.
was just to watch this. And then I remember it was a great set, but I remember one thing he said was he kind of like took a minute and he kept talking to the audience. And one thing he said that like has always just stuck out to me, but it is so true, is like he said something about like one of you guys or a lot of you guys aren't going to live to see next week. But that's so crazy to think about. If you're in a crowd of 100,000 people, like statistically, that's true.
Facts. Yeah.
But you never think that yourself. You're just living in the moment. You're just living. And I don't know. It's just such a crazy thing to think
It's
about.
deep. It's really
It is
deep.
deep, especially when you're just there trying to vibe to this concert. He's trying to get into that. But I think it just goes back to that. I don't want to see an era. If you want to die, you could die. Some people don't want to die, but they're going to die, which is crazy.
Inevitable.
It is inevitable. And I like that you said that because it's a kind of very full circle moment here. The ending of the screenplay is like around here, and he's dying, he's dead potentially. Like you don't really know. I don't think. Again, this is one where the real screenplay buffs are going to be like, well, he said this. I think it's a cliffhanger if I remember right, but it's not, because we always knew the ending of the story because everybody has the same ending. You know what I mean? The ending to everything, everybody's life, is death. And so the ending to the story is always death. So he kind of says it without saying it.
Yeah. I didn't think about it that way, I guess, but yeah.
I didn't really either for forever. And then I got to that and I was like, huh, okay.
Yeah, like okay, yeah.
Yeah. And then there's a reference here where it's talking about the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, where the Earth is a computer program to figure out the meaning of life in the universe, but it's destroyed 5 minutes before it's away from its calculation. So this situation really appears to reflect the boy's journey on Because of the Internet. He's trying to discover the answer to his existential crisis about life. He's trying to discover what life is, what it means, all this kind of stuff. And he falls in a cycle of trying again and again to discover that. And on this song, he dies. And it's like just as he thought he was starting to see the meaning, which was his connection with Naomi, who's the girl who is Janae Eiko. And that's crazy to think about. It's like, this is from the Dissect podcast, but they ended by saying it's like some cruel joke, some sarcastic punchline, as if life itself trolled him, which takes us to the next song, which is Life, the Biggest Troll, Andrew Oppenheimer, which is my favorite song on the album.
Okay, I was waiting. I was wondering when we were gonna get there. Damn, your favorite, huh?
How do you feel about it?
I I think it's just another track to me. But why is it your favorite? Let's get into that.
I just love what he's saying. This is one where there's so many just standout lines to me. First, you start off, man made the web, you don't need a name. Love that. Everybody can be whoever they want to be on the internet. We're who we want to be on the podcast. We don't show everything. You know what I mean? We talk about what we want to talk about. We curate it. We can edit it to appear how we want to appear. And, we go under Second Avenue Podcast. We say our real names, but for, whatever people know, they could be made up names. You know what I mean? You can have alias, you can be whoever you want to be. But then, some other lines here going back to, the boy's wealth and knowing about his friends, or should I say friends loosely, their intentions, that stuff. I love the line, fucking got money, bought friends like I'm TBS. TBS paid like so much money to have friends on their
Yeah.
channel. Great line there, simple, but I love it. And then we get into another great line that I love here, which is, I mean, where's the line between Donnie G and Gambino? I love that line. That's another one where even on the album, you don't know who he's talking about, the boy. You don't know he's talking about Childish Gambino. You don't know if he's talking about Donald Glover. There's so many different ways to look at it. Is there even really a difference between Donald Glover and Childish Gambino? I don't know. But to him, there might be. You know what I mean? Like there might be a difference between Jonathan and Aris on Second Avenue Pod versus Jonathan and Aris in real life. So something to look at there. Then we get into one of my favorite lines ever in any song where it's not even like a crazy reference. It's not crazy wordplay. Just a great line. I could have stayed where I was and had a life you'd be proud of, but I'd rather chase things never thought of. I love that. It's just such a beautiful line.
Yeah. This is, you explain it. It's a lot. This song's a lot deeper than, off the listen.
Yeah, see, that's what I'm here for. I just want everybody to appreciate this album. That
Yeah.
is my
Now,
mission.
now you got me thinking.
Other lines here, because the internet mistakes are forever. Something to think about. Cool line. Then again, kind of goes back into the last track. Funny the day you're born. That's really your death sentence.
Yeah.
So true,
It's
but
like,
like you
yeah,
never think about it like that.
that was one that stuck out because you don't think of it that way. Like a prison. It's almost like it's like you're in this.
Yeah. And a couple of other ones here quick. Eventually, all my followers realize they don't need a leader. I mean, that's just a good line. Again, just talk about the internet. Like everybody is themselves. They don't need to follow somebody else to get their opinion, to get their thoughts, to know how to think. Like think for yourself, be your own person. You know what I mean? And in the age of the internet, that's more difficult and more easier said than done than ever because other people's opinions, other people's thoughts are so accessible, so ingrained in your life. You just scroll on TikTok and you just, get an opinion on something that you probably don't know anything about. You know what I mean? Somebody venting about their orders messing with McDonald's, and now you're like, oh, I hate McDonald's. I hate that. You had no reason to think that until you saw that video. You know what I mean? Like, it's just one of those things. And then two more lines here to end it. It is the ending of the album where he says, life the biggest troll, but the joke is on us. Yeah, the jokes you showed up. And then it kind of pans out, it feels like, but you're here now, you have to help me. It just kind of like gets a high pitched voice and just echoes that. And it's just a great way to close the album. In an age with the internet where you're more connected than ever, you almost feel less connected than ever at times. And existential thoughts, I mean, that's like one of the most potent themes of the album, just wondering what the meaning of life is, what your life means, why you're here, what you're supposed to be doing, are so important to the album. And then it kind of ends by, life's just a joke, but the joke is you showed up. Like, how did we get here? Why are we here? We're never gonna know.
Yeah. Fuck. Obviously, deep thought now.
Yeah,
Um, but nah, it's definitely true. And like you play your own cards. It's like you ultimately like you control. So much, but at the same time, not enough. So it's a crazy thing to truly think about.
facts. And I want to close it by, I said this earlier in the episode. I said Happy Roscoe's Wetsuit Day, and I'm gonna assume you don't know Roscoe's Wetsuit. Am I right with that?
Yeah, I do not know.
Okay. So Roscoe's Wetsuit, it's this thing that just keeps getting repeated throughout the album, the screen, or sorry, not the album, the screenplay. He keeps seeing Roscoe's Wetsuit. It all starts, I think, around the time of Sweatpants, and he sees this kid like writing on a wall. It says Roscoe's Wetsuit, and he asks the kid like, "What does Roscoe's Wetsuit mean?" Because it's like such a weird saying. It's like, what does that mean? And the kid says he doesn't know. We saw it on the internet, and then throughout the screenplay, he keeps seeing it. Like, I think he sees it on Twitter, he just sees it wherever. And then there's a clip. So around the time of the album's release, Donald went to a bunch of parks and he would sit there and he would listen to the album with fans. And people were asking, they're like, what does Roscoe's Wetsuit mean? And he said, ask yourself why you want to know. And so my thought on that is like, that is life. Like, it can mean whatever you want it to mean. Like, it can mean nothing, it can mean everything. But why do you want to know? That's what's important. And I think that is just crazy. Roscoe's Wetsuit, something as stupid as that, as dumb as that, as random as that, is like the metaphor for life.
Yeah. No, it's this is so deep. Like I'm just sitting, I'm so fucking deep in thought right now. Like just my own thoughts here. Bad time, obviously. But I mean that's kind of like the beauty of this album, like the deeper thought into it, I guess, would be, we both dissected a lot, or I mean mainly you, but it's got still thinking about everything here. And we've talked about this album before, that you said there's so much more behind it. There is, I I don't know. Yeah, it's just like, and I feel like that's the artist who Childish Gambino is, or Donald Glover. It's just, and he's got so many different avenues and everything, so much attention to detail, I guess is what I will say. So I mean, like I said, beforehand, I hadn't given this album a full sit down listen through, but now it's like I feel like if I'm listening to one track on it, I gotta listen to the whole damn thing.
That's how I feel. I listen to the album more through than I do any song really by itself. So I know it was a lot for you listening. I know it was probably a lot for you. I feel like I was just talking a bunch, but I feel like it's gonna, change how you listen to the album. And that's how
Yeah,
it did for me. Like, I used to love the music. I still love the music, but more than that, I love the world. I love what it stands for. I love everything about it. And that's why it's one of my favorite albums of all time. And I hope that you guys give the album another listen with all this in mind if you hadn't had it in mind before. And if you are one of those people that knows everything about the screenplay, knows all these details, I hope you had fun. I hope you enjoyed something about, our random references about Brandon Paul or Lob City basketball or a kick conversation. I hope you had fun. Yeah, because we don't know everything about the album. I don't know
yeah.
everything about the album, but I love it.
So yeah. Yeah, you don't claim to, or we don't claim to know everything. It's like it's a bigger message there. We don't claim to know everything about music. We're just kind of giving you our perspective on it. So
Yeah, and this is a tougher one to do that because there is so much going
yeah,
on. So
yeah,
if you are a Because Internet buff, please leave a comment on the YouTube video of this. Send us a DM, something. Let us know something we missed, something we got wrong, because I want to know. I want to know more. It's one of those things where you get a peek behind the curtain and you just want to know everything. So hopefully you guys enjoyed us talking about Because the Internet. Truly one of, I think, the best albums of all time, most important albums. Such a great perspective in the 2010s, in the kind of infancy still of the internet. Great project. Let us know what you guys think. Hopefully you guys learned something in that. But anything else you want to close on Because the Internet with?
nah. I mean, I think we both kind of went back and forth there. Gave our thoughts. So I mean, I know, like I said, every time I listen to it, I'm gonna have to listen to the whole thing now. So
Yep. One of those. I feel like I need to give it that like full read of the screenplay. Like, I've just like read snippets and, in the Dissect podcast, heard a bunch of it, but I've never like read and sat there and then listened to the songs. We're supposed to listen to the songs. I'm gonna have to do it at some point. And it's weird because there's like videos to go with it too. There's so many layers to this. So yeah, well, I don't think I'll ever fully know the world, but hopefully, I
get a
get
better
closer every
understanding.
day and
Yeah.
every listen. Yeah.
Yep.
All right, let's move on though. We got some news to get into for the week. We went pretty long there with the Because the Internet talk, so we're
We're
just
gonna
gonna
do, pardon the interruption here. This is gonna be our pardon the interruption esque, the big finish here. We're gonna go through these quick and get y'all out of here.
let's do it. With starting off with releases this week, we got projects from Nicki Minaj, Kenny Mason, Rowdy Rebel, Moneybagg Yo, and then we got songs from Thames, NLE Choppa, Conway the Machine, Benny the Butcher, Dave, and Jack Harlow on the same song for the Lyrical Lemonade album, Lil Yachty and Southside, Fred again with Baby Keem, Casey and Kate Renata, and Playboy Cardi with not an official release, but
Yeah.
some music previewed. Anything you wasn't to hear, anything you're really feeling you want to give some love to?
I honestly I gave a lot of the singles to listen to. I mean, all pretty solid weaker album week for me. But yeah, I mean, nothing too crazy. I still got to listen to all the albums, but just based off of the names or anything, I'm jumping to right away. So
Yep. A lot of big features on Nicki Minaj album. You know, you got Drake, you got J. Cole.
Mm.
Got to give those a listen. I've not. Kenny Mason, love him. Got to give him a listen. I've not had a chance. I've been very invested in the Because, you know, I've listened to the album like 5 times in the past couple of days, so I haven't got to it yet. Got to give a quick shout out to the Fred Again and Baby Keem track. Really enjoyed that. Didn't really listen to Fred Again before I saw him at Lollapalooza, but I'm a fan now, and he got my boy Keem, so had to give
Yeah.
that one a listen, and I'm enjoying. I've been listening to it a pretty good amount. And so we'll close here. We got 3 artists, you know, that we haven't heard too much from, that it seems closer and closer to music releasing from them. We got Playboi Carti, we got Frank Ocean, and we got Kanye West. Starting off, Playboi Carti, like we said, he released a single. Apparently, he's set to drop his album in January. We'll see about that. There's been a lot of teasers this week, a conversation with Carti and Tyler, the Creator. He took a screenshot of him, posted. Pharrell posted something. Filthy posted. A bunch of producers excited for whatever this is. Playboi Carti, somebody that always reinvents himself with each project. So we'll see what direction he goes in with this next project.
Yeah, for the snippet for Frank Ocean, that was enjoyable, and then Kanye West. Just the point I want to make, why I brought all this together, is it's a blessing to get any of these things. But I mean, we got it. It's a blessing to get any of these things at any time, but we got it in 2 days, a 2 to 3 day span. So that's just crazy. But yeah, we'll see. I'm not gonna hold my breath for any of these 3 artists. Well, Ty Dolla $ign, I feel a little more consistent than Kanye, so I said 3 artists there. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, we'll see. I get excited every time I see a blonde vinyl restock, because I feel like that means we're getting a little bit closer. Something wants, you know, some attention. Then we get the snippet. I'm like, okay, let's see. So hopefully Frank does drop. We'll see about that. And then we did get that track list for Ye Dollar $ign. So we'll see. That seems closer than ever. Seems like there's gonna be a listening party for your birthday in Miami. So
yeah, we'll be there.
We might be there. So we'll see about that. That's a good step in the right direction. Hopefully it actually happens, unlike the last one. But we'll be back with more updates on this next week, as well as our albums of the year. Oh, I'm stressing already thinking about making it a list of 10 with a couple honorable mentions. You know me, I got to show some love, but it's going to be tough. So you're not going to want to miss it. We've been talking about it all year. Oh, this is going to be talked about in December. Well, now it's December, and now we're talking about it.
Yeah. About it then, you know, I don't want to get too much into it. You know, we don't really talk about anything other than we'll talk about it in December. So it's here. I'm excited. But I think about wraps it up for this week. Thanks you guys for listening. Make sure to go enter on the vinyl contest. Jonathan, any closing thoughts?
Yes, sir. Go enter in the vinyl. Appreciate you guys. It's December. We're coming correct all month. Hopefully you guys enjoyed last week's episode. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this week's episode. We got a couple more bangers coming. Closing the year right. So we'll see you guys next week for our albums of the year. Peace.